Remember Dr. Dolittle from the movie? He could talk to all kinds of animals, couldn't he? Well, Marion County has its own version of Dr. Dolittle, and she takes care of everything from chameleons and giraffes to monkeys and Janet. What's a Janet, you ask? Well, Dr. Suzanne Billiar knows all about this animal that comes from the mongoose family, along with a lot of other unusual and exotic creatures. Billiar says she always has a special place in her heart for your everyday kind of pet, like cats and dogs, but it's the pets like reptiles and exotic creatures that really pique her curiosity. She says her interest in animals goes back to her childhood.
Well, my father's a veterinarian, so I pretty much grew up with the exposure of it, and we had a lot of animals the whole time I was growing up, and I would go up and help him, so I've always been exposed to it and always been interested in it, and had planned on being a veterinarian one day myself.
You might think she'd have to take extra veterinary courses to take care of animals that are as different as iguanas and white tigers. But really, she says, all vets have the training to do what she does. It's just that other vets usually end up specializing their practice.
Well, all veterinary students have to study the same curriculum. And we have to learn about dogs and cats and birds and horses and pigs and cattle. It's real important that we learn all that, because when we get finished with school, we're all required to take a national board exam, and it has questions about all those species. So even if you're interested in particularly just small animals or large animals, you still have to know it all. So it's real important to learn it all, and you never know, you might change your mind when you get out of school and decide that you're going to do something totally different than you had planned on. A lot of people do that. They think they want to be large animal vets, and they end up being dog and cat vets. And sometimes because of your health or whatever, sometimes you're kind of forced to do different than what you thought you were going to do, too. So everybody still has to learn the same thing, but you do have opportunities in school to try to educate yourself more in things that you're interested in. If you are interested in exotic animals, you can take extra courses in that. You can also go work with a veterinarian. Usually during your senior year, they give you time slots where you can go spend a certain amount of time with different veterinarians to learn, and so you could either go spend your time with an exotic animal vet or a large animal vet, so that gives you extra education. Of course, in the summer, you can work for a veterinarian doing the things that you think you want to do one day.
Billiar has her own veterinary practice now, but she got a lot of training when she worked at Ocala's own Silver Springs.
It was really exciting. I felt like it was a real privilege to get to work with those animals. Not everybody gets to hand feed a baby giraffe and do a physical exam on one, and work with monkeys and zebras, and I just got a real high off of it. I thought it was real fun. Of course, it can be dangerous, working with exotic animals. Pose a little bit of a problem sometimes because they're not real cooperative. So the majority of the animals we would, have to anesthetize in order to work on them. So I got pretty good at being able to dart and so forth, because a lot of times you can't go in and just catch the animal. They're too dangerous or too difficult. So I got to be a pretty good shot too. So we sure do see a lot of different animals, and that's what makes it fun and exciting. I really enjoy it. We see everything from tigers to cougars. We see a number of birds, many different bird species, and we have monkeys that come in, a lot of reptiles, snakes and iguanas. Iguanas are really popular. So we get to see real variety. We don't just see dogs and cats every day. We see about everything you can think of. I still enjoy doing dogs and cats. I think that they're wonderful animals, and the people that own them are usually very dedicated to them and love them very much. So I still really like to work with the dogs and cats too. I guess probably the most difficult situation would be trying to work on a large animal and to have to try to capture it in a difficult situation. And I would say I've had to dart zebras, in other words, immobilize them, sedate them on an island, which you can imagine is real fun because sometimes they decide to jump into the water. But I guess I couldn't say any particular one because I've had so many. But those kind of situations are somewhat, a real challenge. So we had a baby white tiger in here a couple weeks ago, and it was only 6 days old. And that was kind of a thrill because they're pretty rare. And to see one that young had just been taken away from its mother, and along with its the other cub, and they were pretty neat to have to hold two baby tigers like that, one being a white tiger because they're quite rare. And I thought that was a pretty neat experience.
With all the wild and woolly creatures out there, Billiar has seen her share of the strange and unusual. Each animal presents its own set of unique challenges, but one case does stand out a little more than the others.
I guess one of my more rememberable experiences was we had a giraffe in a situation with a very sweet giraffe who was loved by everybody, and we were all waiting on her first birth of her first calf, and we knew she was about due, and she broke water, and we only saw 1 foot sticking out, so I was very concerned because both feet really need to be out for them to present normally and to have a normal birth. So we waited a while, and finally she laid down, and I was able to go and feel inside and find that the other leg was caught behind the pelvis. So we ended up having to put her in a chute that we had just built. And with the team effort of the people that I worked with, we were able to basically push the calf back in and then to bring it out. And it was pretty exciting because we basically saved the life of the baby giraffe and also of the mother. Both would have perished if we hadn't been able to, if we hadn't been there. They definitely both would have died. So I feel like, that was one of my first really unique experiences, and it was with the giraffe, and so I have a real fondness for them, and that would have to be it. That was real rewarding.
So if your pot-bellied pig isn't pigging out like usual, or your 40-pound boa constrictor pet just isn't squeezing the life out of you like it usually does, well, the doctor is in and ready and